gather round your town when things are on the up or things are falling down. Celebrate the hard times, stay passionate through the lows, find strength in the chaos, no matter which way it goes. It's not easy being blue. Heartbreak comes in many ways, the hardest times, the darkest days, but all these things get washed away with us, with us. The highs might not come every day, but memories do, and memories stay. Enjoy that moment anyway with us, with us, with us. It's not easy being blue. It's not easy being blue.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to this Monday's assessment by the View from the Medway Fancast in partnership with the Gillingham FC Supporters Club and sponsored by Snodhurst Used Cars Sales and Service Station. As Gills travelled to the Wham Stadium this Saturday to take on Accrington, and not a single Wham pun on site this week, unfortunately, although our last win did come last Christmas. So I am joined this evening by Warren, I am joined by Phil, and I am joined by James. How are we, boys?
Good
Hey,
evening.
Chris.
So want to try something a little bit different this week before we get into the views news. So Warren, can I have one positive from your week outside of football?
My name didn't appear in the obituary column this week.
And Phil, can I have one positive from your week that doesn't include football?
I discovered that someone has uploaded onto YouTube an old school program that I've wanted to see since I last saw it in the 1980s. So I was very happy watching something I've not seen for 40 years.
There we go. And James, and yourself?
Oh, goodness me. You put me on the spot now. My dog's had a very good school report. There we go. How's that?
There we go. So just instead of like getting straight into it, I just thought, familiarise ourselves with the show. So, yeah, all good. So we will go into the Views news. And the Views news this week will, again, be hosted by Warren.
Yeah, evening, ladies and gents. Welcome to the Views news. This week it's going to take on a little bit of a difference. I want to celebrate Gillingham supporters. We haven't got much to celebrate on the pitch at the moment, even though I know we're safe. But I just think that Gillingham supporters are just a fantastic bunch of people. And I just want to go back to Accrington on Saturday. I met all the young lads at Preston Station, had a good chat with them. I met up with Steve, who comes down from Edinburgh to all home games and away games. And I had a good laugh with him and a good drink. I met my mates who have been going for absolute donkey's years in Mark Swells, Caroline, Captain Bob, Trevor and Ian. And then I got chatting to Phil and his young son Joe in the pub. And then at the ground, I just met so many people who just wanted to have a chat. And it was just a real community-based thing. And for 351 to go to Accrington when, to be honest, there was nothing on the game. I think, bearing in mind Accrington is one of the hardest places to get to, I thought it was a pretty damn good effort by everybody to get 351 people. So, James, I'll go to you first, right? I'll put you on the spot. What do you think makes Gillingham Football Club supporters so special?
I think we have a very unique geographical area, which I think is something which which feeds into our fan base. We're a little bit in the shadow of London. We're not far from London at all. We're in the shadow of lots of bigger clubs, if you will. And I think those that choose to support Gillingham have probably done so against all the odds, really. The lure of your Arsenal, Tottenham, all the London clubs from an early age must be, especially nowadays, must be really, really hard to keep away from those, to be honest with you. So I think if you've chosen the Gills as your team, I think you've probably got a bit more about you as a football supporter and as a lower league supporter. And I think that's kind of what makes us special. We've made an active choice to follow a difficult to follow team. I think sometimes, it's not easy being not easy being blue. It's not easy being a lower league supporter. It really isn't. And I think, until you embark on that journey, you don't realise sometimes just how tough it's going to be. And I think we can all look at our peer group, and certainly a lot of my mates are all Liverpool fans, Man United fans of London clubs as well, and I don't think they have the same affinity for their club that I do for mine. I just don't. I think it's different.
Thanks. Phil, you come from Reading for most home games, and obviously you do the odd away game as and when you can with your boy Joe. Why Gillingham, living in Reading?
Well, I'm actually from Canterbury originally, so Gillingham were the only league team, so that's essentially why it's happened. But obviously living in Reading, didn't get to go. Took Joe along to games where Gillingham were close to Reading, so Oxford, Wickham, Swindon, places like that. And he thankfully got the bug. He saw the error of his ways of supporting a Premier League team who shall remain nameless for various obvious reasons if you go back to 1999. And we just love going together. It's such a good thing to be able to do. Get together on a Saturday, catch up with you guys. We enjoy the game. We enjoy the company. We enjoy the memories we make. And James is right. Following a lower league team is tough. We've seen it all. We've seen the highs of the Championship, and we've seen the lows of being at the bottom of League Two. But we're still here, and we're here because we love the club. And we love the people that we're supporting the club with.
Yeah, cheers, Phil. I really appreciate the insight of coming from Reading all the way down to Gills every week. Kris, my question to you is a little bit different. You started this podcast in the summer. Mm-hmm. And although I'd like to big us up and say we've had a modicum of success with the show, which is down to the people that watch it, obviously. When you created the View from the Medway, right, why did you do it?
Right, okay, so I started off, really, it was more just at the time, it was a Facebook group. I was an admin of another Facebook group, and then I wasn't. So I started off my own thing, but I always wanted to do something that was slightly different, more inclusive to every fan, like where every fan can be on camera, every fan can talk about what they wanted to talk about. And it's no disrespect to any other podcast, but I did find that it was kind of one-dimensional in the respect of it was a couple of people and it was the same people all the time. So I wanted to try and create something that was inclusive for everyone. Not saying that they aren't, but yeah, for me it was just Gills fans are great. Like every Gills fan that I've ever met or I've spoken about with the podcast or even before that, absolutely brilliant people. The football's not always been the best, but there's always been that deep lying heart with the fans. So yeah, I wanted to just try and bring that out and get different people on that have never been on before, and yeah, try and do that.
Lovely. Cheers, Kris. Thanks for that. So that brings me on to two people that I've grown up with, I've admired. I've spent a lot of time travelling to away games with, And I just think that these two people should be saluted. So I'd like to go on to George Penfield first. He got a Community Hero Award at Gillingham Football Club. He's 81. He still goes around the football club, I think, most days to help out, whether it be doing kit, whether it's to tread a few bits down on the grass, any maintenance, cleaning, whatever. George is always there. Now, when I first started going to the old Jill Social Club, back when I was 18, 19, George was always in the social club. He always travelled on the old Jill's Travel Club buses to away games. Then he became kit man. And then he started, when he gave up the kit man job, he was doing the pitch and whatever. And I speak to him every week. I shake his hand. And one of his favourite things that I never realised happened was when he had a beer, right, and he had too much to drink in the old social club, he had the old trick of whatever was left in his glass and he'd had enough, he'd just tip it upside down on the bar, whether it was full or whether it was half empty or whether it was empty, to say that he was done and he was going on. And he lived just around the corner. So
Brilliant.
What I'd like to ask all three of you, really, is, and it's the same question, I haven't got a different question for each of you, is what would you like your legacy to be of supporting Gillingham Football Club to the people that follow you, either within your family or other Gills fans? And I'll go to you first, Phil.
Well, I think I've already achieved that by converting my son into becoming a Gillingham fan. So, hopefully it will carry on running through the family. If he's fortunate enough to have grandchildren, then fingers crossed when we get to that stage, I'll be able to take them along too.
Excellent. James, what would you like your legacy to be of being a Gills fan?
Yeah, well, Phil's done something that I haven't done there. I've failed miserably on every effort that I've ever made. I've tried. My daughter's still a bit young, but I've tried to get my two nephews involved. They're not remotely interested. But I still go with my dad. It's our thing to do. It's what we do together. And I would hope that we'll do that for us as for many, many years to come. And I know that he genuinely, it's the highlight of his week. I think, without going too deep into it, he really loves going to the Gills with me, and it's our thing to do. I think that that's kind of what I want to keep doing. I want to give my dad as much, share as many memories with my dad as I can with where the Gills are concerned, and hopefully a few more good ones akin to the championship years rather than the last couple of years that we've had to endure. But I think that's really it for me at this stage. And then maybe a little bit further down the line, if my daughter gets interested, then that could potentially be another thing to do. But at this stage, it's just to keep enjoying it with my dad and just share as many memories as we can, really, to be honest.
Yeah, I appreciate that, James, because obviously my dad can't come because he's gone. But he was the first one who took me to football back in the early 70s. And he got me involved in watching Gillingham Football Club, and for that I'll forever be grateful.
Yeah.
So I'll come to you, Kris. What would your legacy be? What would you like your legacy to be?
It's a difficult one. Sorry. It's a difficult one for me because, I have girls, so all four of them at the moment not into football. So I've failed massively. It probably even worse than James, to be quite honest.
You failed 4 times, mate.
Yeah, I know, right? Damn. I don't even know why I do this bloody podcast. You know what I mean? If I'm that much of a fail. No, I'm joking. No. To be fair, for me, I want to get them into football. I will get them into football. But a legacy for me is just can you call a podcast a legacy? I don't know.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely.
But doing this, getting other fans involved, getting that kind of thing going, and in 60 years' time, when I'm long and gone, maybe someone else is running the View from the Medway Fancast, or they can speak back on it. We've had fun as fans. That's all I want. I don't want to take this thing too seriously. You know, like we are fans. We're just talking about football. But yeah, if I can get my my 4-year-old's taken quite a keen liking to watching ladies football, so maybe I can swing around next season to come and watch a Gills game. But yeah, legacy wise, I'm just a Gills fan that wants to have fun, really. And if by doing this podcast, it then reaches a community that can't necessarily go to games, that are housebound for whatever reason, then yeah, that's a legacy in itself, surely.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. For me, it's just I just want to be known as a decent bloke. That's it. That's all.
You got to work harder then.
Well, I don't know with most people that have got an ounce of intelligence, Kris. Unfortunately, you've lost out. So I'd like to go on to the next one, which is Andy Bradley and his book, Home of the Shouting Men 2. So that's 2 books he's now done, charting the history of Gillingham Football Club. I don't know if anyone's read both books, but they're well worth a read if you're a Gillingham fan and you want to go back and look at games and that you've been to and get stats and whatever. Now, I've known Andy since I was 18. In fact, I played badminton on a Monday night with him at this time for 40-odd years. And I know the amount of hard work that he put into both books. The second book was delayed because a certain person at the football club didn't like some of the wording aimed against him in some of the passages of written context. But in the end, Andy got the book published. It took him 2 years of his life, which, bearing in mind, he looks after his wife. It was a bit of a godsend for him. It gave him a sense of purpose. Now, Andy, I don't know if anyone knew, was a reporter on Gills games for the Old Chatham News. He still does all the stats and that in the stand on a Saturday. And again, it was one of the people that was always at away games when I first started, and I think he'd been going since 1893 anyway. But what I'd like to know is why do you think people do this sort of thing for the football club? Why it's a labour of love for this football club? Kris?
Well, you kind of answered it yourself, mate, haven't you? Really, it's a labour of love. It's, you know, people, when you're that engrossed in your football club, you'll do anything for it. Be it, you know, go to games even when you've lost 10 in a row or 5 in a row or 20 in a row. You're bottom of the league. We still go to games because it's kind of like a relationship where, you know, regardless of how badly you're treated, you're still going to be there. And you're going to be there till not till the end in my case against Bromley, but you're going to be there until the end. So it is that labour of love. I don't think that we've had the community side of it as much in recent years up until Brad and Shannon came in. And now we've kind of got that community feel back within the club. So people are more inclined to get involved and to stick it out when you've got owners that care about fans, really.
Yeah. Phil, I know that you're into the media side of things and a little bit of journalism. How much hard work do you think would have gone into those 2 books, knowing that you have to fact check and goodness knows what else, every little bit that you put into the book to make sure they're correct?
That's a really good point, actually, because I don't think people quite appreciate how much effort these kind of things take. And it's one of those things where if you get one single thing wrong, you can guarantee that someone will pick up on it and you just feel miserable afterwards. So I promise you, a lot of hours has gone into this. And as we talked about, you can only do it as a labour of love. You can't do it as a 9-to-5 job. You've got to do it when inspiration strikes. You've got to do it when you feel in the mood for it. you've got to do it sometimes when you don't feel like doing it. But you know what the end result you want, so you just get on and do it. I do have to say one thing, though, about the book. It's covering the period 94 to 24. And I just wonder, when it's in bookshops, is it going to be stocked in the sports section or will it be in the horror section?
Yeah. It's unfortunately it won't be stocked anywhere because we've sold out. But
Second run.
I just like I just appreciate the opinion from someone that is from that line of work and just to express to all other fans that how much work goes into it. James,
Yeah, I mean, one of these things, though, a lot of midnight oil is burnt producing media content. And I mean, Kris works really hard behind the scenes every week to ensure that the podcast is ready to go. When I was working in newspapers, there's countless times when I'd be up till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and up again at 6 just to ensure that the deadlines were hit. And you know, it's relentless, really is relentless.
James, I'll go to you. So obviously you're starting out on a new venture within the podcast world with Tom. What do you think will be your redeeming feature that will bring content to Gillingham Football Club?
It's my relentless positivity, Warren, obviously. I don't know. I think I tend to tell things how I see them, to be honest with you. I don't, if we've played well, I say we played well. If we've been awful, I say that as well. And I think that, you know, all you want really is a bit of honesty and reflection from people that's genuine. I can't really give much more than that, to be honest. I think that as any football fan, you've got this. It's really hard to be impartial, isn't it? It's really hard to look at your own team. You read some of the comments on X after we've turned someone over. Not that happens very often anymore, but when it does, you know, the comments that people put on there, they're so ingrained in their own team and how they should have had this and they should have had that and stuff. And there's very little reflection sometimes if a team hasn't played well. There's very little reflection. But I think as Gills fans, we're actually quite good at that. I think generally we all, we're all very, very, very good at saying, yeah, we've been poor today, or we've not done well today, or we've got lucky there, and I think, you know, we're pretty good at as a fan base on that respect, I would say, definitely. And even down to when you listen to the commentary, you know, on the Gills, it seems to be very unbiased, whereas a lot of the, should we say, more northern-based teams can't quite say the same thing sometimes with their commentary. But yes, I think that's what I give along with many other Gills fans is a degree of honesty and genuine reflection on how we actually are and how we've actually played. And I think that really kind of tells its own story, really. To people want to hear that. They want to hear honesty, and I think that's what you get from your average Gills fan, I would say. Okay,
so just to finish off, I'd like to say well done to George on his Community Hero Award, and congratulations to Andy Bradley, who I've known for years, on his Shout Men 2 book selling out and being a source of inspiration for Gillingham fans when they read in years to come.
Also, don't forget Phil Catterick and they all had a say in the book as well. So yeah, well done to all of them.
Yeah, exactly. So, as I say, it's just that I know that Andy put in the most work for it, and I just wanted to celebrate some Gillingham supporters doing things this week rather than just talking about football. So, I'll go on to Kris's favourite subject next, which is the transfer model. Now, it's very interesting. I got a little bit of insight during the week into the model that the football club will be using from the summer. And if you just bear with me, because I'm reading off my phone some notes. So to start with, they do an existing squad audit, review of what we have in the first team and academy. So how do you think that sort of works out, James?
I think that's an essential first step, to be honest with you. I think we absolutely need to look at what we've got already. We're going to have certain players here regardless whether we necessarily want them or not. So I think it's really important to have a look at ourselves and see what we're going to have next year. So that's a good first step. But my issues possibly come further down the line, where I think that
I'll cover them.
How we recruit from there is going to be the bigger question.
I'm going through. I'm just going down through their whole process, so I'll get to that a little bit later.
Okay.
So we reviewed the first team and academy, and to me, whoever's in charge of the team next season should be in situ by April.
Yeah.
Right, because you can't judge youth team players, because their games start to run out now. You'll only see them in training. You won't see some first team players, so you're going to have to look at those in training. And again, you've only got the first team to look at, which you go to on a Saturday, far-flung places like Harrogate, and you see what characters in the side. So the next thing, once we've looked at that, so I'll go to you, Kris, on this next one. The next step is analytics on all players from target leagues. What do you think that means?
Can I go no comment?
No.
Are we going to be here all night?
This is why I asked you this one.
Right, yeah. I don't know what that waffle means, to be quite honest with you. I think analytics of selected leagues, did you say? Surely they're
target leagues.
Target leagues. So first of all, my question would be, what are the target leagues? What leagues are we looking at? Are we looking at, because we keep getting mixed signals with, okay, but we're doing analytics on players in Iceland, but we've never targeted any of them. So what are the target leagues? That would be my first question. I could go on this subject for hours, boys, to be quite honest with you. I think the recruitment, when we brought the players in the summer, we were all happy, but in general, over the last couple of years, it's been poor. The data has clearly been poor. Is it the data that's been poor, or has it been the people that are reading it? I don't know. But I don't. What are the target leagues? That would be my first question.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know when I saw that, and I see it came up as one of the screenshots. I'm thinking to myself, well, you're not going to go much higher than the Championship. You're not going to go much lower than the National League, and we've never seemed to have got any player from any league outside of England. So it's only 2 or 3 leagues that we're watching. So that brings me on to my next one. And this is for you, Phil, right? Matches watched from target leagues as directed by the head of recruitment. What games do you think they actually watch?
That's a good question, isn't it? Because quite clearly, the players that have been brought in, you wonder whether they've just been bought on the metrics that they've seen as opposed to playing ability. And when ultimately everything boils down to what the next manager is and what they want, what style of player they want, what type of players that they want. So, if they're coming in when the season has ended, all they've got is television replays to go on, which is not the same as actually being there and seeing them in action in real life. So you kind of hope that whoever's doing the scouting is actually going to the right games for the right targets at the right times. And hopefully they sign the right players.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed it's better next season.
So, James, the next step would be the match reports are reviewed alongside analytics, which I don't get, because I saw a different game Saturday to what the stats said. So match reports reviewed alongside analytics, high-performing players monitored and watched by head of recruitment.
See, to me, it's just reinventing the wheel. Moneyball's got so much to answer for. It really has. It worked in baseball all them years ago. It does not work in football, from what I've seen. Why we constantly want to go out and pick players on nonsense like XG and all that rubbish, I do not understand. Just League Two is not rocket science. Let's get some big, ugly, horrible defenders, a big, ugly, horrible target man, some terriers in midfield, and a decent goalkeeper, and we'll be out of this league. It's not rocket science. Why they insist on doing this with these analytics? And I get that there can be some science applied sometimes, but you're dealing with people here predominantly. It's people. How do the players fit the culture of the club? How does their mentality impact on the players already here at the club? Those are the things they should be looking at on the analytics, not on their stats and their numbers. It's, are they the right personality fit for the club? That's the question they should be asking, I think.
Yeah, so Kris has disappeared, so I'll go to you, Phil. So the next step is due diligence on shortlisted players, character, availability, injury history, and salary expectations, etc., etc. Do you think we've actually done that?
It's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Kris has prepared a slide of all different players we've got in our squad. It's a massive squad that we've got. We don't know our perfect formation. I don't think any manager since Harris has known what our perfect squad is. And we've had 3-4 miserable seasons in a row pretty much now. So whatever we're doing right now ain't working. And this due diligence on the short list of players, I don't think they've got the right criteria in place, because I don't think they're bringing in the right players that will play as this squad.
Yeah,
they may play well elsewhere, but they're not fitting into what Gillingham is right now.
I just look at players like Dak, Andrews, Nolan, Johnny Williams, and I just think that when they look at this due diligence on shortlisted players, right, I just don't think it's worked. If this is part of the Gillingham Football Club model.
Agreed.
So
it comes back to this question the other week about what is the identity of Gillingham? What is Gillingham's DNA? And if Joe and Joe Comper hasn't quite got that sussed out yet, the bottom line is we want a team that plays well together, likes each other, gets on with the fans all right, and wins games.
But then that's a fundamental issue, isn't it? Because if they're talking about this new transfer model, right? You've got a transfer model, but you've not got a set identity of how you want the team to play. So what is the point of a transfer model, and what is the point of making data signings or no data signings, or making signings for the sake of it, when you've got no bloody idea what we're going to do as a club? I hate the man that can't be named, but at least we had an identity on the way that we were playing. So if we're then going to sit here and go, oh, what about this player? What about this player? Why don't we sign this player? Get your bloody house in order before you then start looking to sign players.
And then also, I think you've also got the further issue where a player who, a season or so ago, who we all unanimously agreed would be a decent signing at this level was Akinyemi, and then Hess turns around at the fans forum and basically disregards the entire Scottish League. What metrics are we looking at exactly? What exactly are we going for?
Yeah. And I'll go through everything that we've already gone through, right? So it's quite a fairly lengthy process. We then, part of the process that they do is then, after we've done all the due diligence, match reports reviewed, matches watched and whatever, we then give a shortlist to the manager to review and do his own due diligence, right? And the manager selects top 3 per position. Why? Surely the manager should know what players he likes.
No. See, that does my head in, because for me, and maybe it's a bit old school on my part, I don't know, but for me, a manager goes to the board and says, these are the players that I want, right, in each position. So he gives them 5, for example. So he turns around and says, right, okay, for example, I want 5 left. These are the 5 left mids that I want that will fit into my system. Right? Get me one of them. Right? I want 5 of these players. There's a list of 5 from a right mid. I want one of them players. These are 5 strikers. I want 2 of them. Right? That is for me how it works at football. Right? If you're going to let a manager fall on the sword, let it be his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at Kambeni, if Kambeni was the top of a list somewhere, who else was on the list? My goodness me. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And then we go to the last process, which is the managing director to negotiate with agents and deliver players from 3 selected. Now, this is what really, I don't know, galls me a little bit, that we've got Joe in a position that possibly he may or may not be good at. We don't really know. We can all have a guess. But he's not really dealt with footballers and agents before now. Agents can be clever little whatsits. And having someone with the inexperience of Joe negotiating with agents and deliver players from the 3 selected, I don't get that how that really works. Because Coleman might want A, and Joe goes and negotiates a contract with C, and because it's a decent, he thinks he's got a decent contract with C, we pick him. That's the way it looks to me.
This is the fundamental difficulty we have at the moment, right? Because the way that we are set up at the moment is we should have a director of football. Obviously, we haven't at the moment because Kenny Jackett has stepped down for health issues. So there's that void between director of football and managing director. You've not got that anywhere in the club at the moment. So if they're now trying to tell us that, okay, so at the moment, according to what we're told, Joe dots the I's and crosses the T's. Right?
Yeah.
So that's fine. Okay, if that's what Joe's doing, that's absolutely fine. So you're basically leaving Andy Hessenthaler to do everything else with regards to recruitment other than signing contracts. So where is that? You need that middle ground between the director of football and the managing director. So we clearly need a director of football, because you can't sit there and tell me that the way that it's working at the moment is working. It's absolutely not working. Like, Joe can do and say whatever he wants. And don't get me wrong, greatest respect to Joe. I absolutely love Joe. I think he's a great person. But you cannot sit there and tell me that he knows more than any Gills fan about what kind of player we should be signing. That's not his job at the moment. He's running the football club when Brad and Shannon are not in the country. Therefore, that leaves that void of who's actually running the football side.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I might be a little bit old school. I've been off the director of football. I've been off head of recruitment. I tell whoever's going to be manager to sort his scouting network out and say, tell his scouts who he wants to be looked at, and then come back with reports, and then go and see that player himself and decide whether he wants to sign him or not.
Yeah.
And I think that the process that we got is so complicated. I actually achieved an A-level at university just reading through it and trying to understand it, to be honest. It was just, it's just nonsense, right?
I'm actually surprised
Football is an easy game.
Yeah.
Football's an easy game, and I just think we're making jobs for people, right, for no reason, and spending a lot of money on people that we don't necessarily need to have in a football club. I just think we're making it far too complicated. At the end of the day, as football fans, all we want to do is see the ball in the back of the net each week.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to talk anymore about the transfer model, because I'm sure we've got plenty of other stuff to talk about, and you probably heard enough of my voice so far. So I'll hand back over to Kris, and he can go through the exciting game that we had at the Wham Stadium at the weekend.
Where's Yeah, so we'll just quickly touch on Stanley facts. So Accrington Stanley were a founding member of the Football League in 1888, though it folded shortly after. The current incarnation of Accrington Stanley were formed in 1968, 2 years after the collapse of the original club. The club gained fame in the 1980s due to a Milk Marketing Board advertisement featuring the slogan, Accrington Stanley, who are they? The current owner of Accrington Stanley is Mr. Andrew Mark Holt. So we will quickly touch on our starting lineup for Saturday, and I do apologise for the length of time that it's taken to get here. So Morris was in goal. We had Max Clark, Sam Gale, Connor Masterson, Andy Smith, and Romeo Hutton in the 5. We had a Little and Mackenzie. Morgan was in at the 10 again, and Hawkins and Bode. For me, if it's not broken, don't fix it, boys. So I will start with you, James, and your thoughts on the lineup.
Yeah, agreed. I think all the players that started on Saturday deserve to start on the previous performance. Yeah, absolutely agree with you, Kris. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think obviously John Coleman was trying to have a little bit of stability there, which is good. Playing the same 11 is always going to help with that. So yeah, I was perfectly happy with that. I know Hawkins is a divisive figure, but I think he absolutely deserved his place again for me. And yeah, no issues with the starting lineup at all. I think the bench was more interesting, but yeah, was no issues with the starting lineup at all.
Yeah, and Phil?
Yeah, I've got to say the bench really surprised me. I do wonder where some of our players are. And obviously we're not privy to what's going on behind the scenes, but there are some glaring omissions in that bench and players that you would expect to start. That said, it was nice to see Wakeling back on the bench, and ultimately he came on in the second half.
Yeah, and Warren, your thoughts on the lineup? Obviously, Wakeling was on the bench last Saturday as well, because we finally ended our campaign of Where is Wakeling? So
Yeah, I think with the fact that we're Ogie, Dak, Nolan, and the likes were omitted again this week, says that something's gone on behind the scenes. None of them got back into the side, whether it be on the bench or not. There's no surprises from me that with those players not having kissed and made up with the manager, they're still out in the cold. So that's basically what we got left.
yeah. No, for me, I'll ask each of you the same thing. When you've got, like, no disrespect to JJ Morgan, but when you've got like attacking midfield players that could play there in the likes of Johnny Williams and Corness, you could say,
The wand.
the wand, the wand of what? But yeah, no, surely it's frustrating for them. Like, they're not playing there, James, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought JJ did well on Saturday. But yeah, if you're Johnny Williams in particular at the moment, you know, it's his position, isn't it? That is his position. That is Bradley Dack's position. They must be wondering what's going on, because to throw a lad in there, to let's be honest, ask him to do a job that he's probably not used to doing either. It's very telling, and again, you have to ask questions. What has gone on behind the scenes? Because I don't know why that is happening, really, to be honest with you. And I think, as well as Jimmy J did, you've got to ask the question: Would Johnny Williams have done a better job? Would Bradley Dack have done a better job? And if we are cutting our nose off to spite our face, if Coleman or whoever is being difficult because of reasons other than football reasons, then you've got to ask questions about those decisions, I think.
Yeah. And Warren, I'll go with you, mate.
I disagree with James. Johnny Williams, what's he done in 2 years? I'm sorry. Yeah. His stats say he scored 1 goal and got 1 assist in 2 years. Mm-hmm. So is he the person to play in that role? I don't personally like the 10 role. And I don't particularly like this formation, but we're having to play it because of the personnel that we've got available to us, or the personnel that Coleman's making available. I thought Jimmy J did well. He's a little workaholic, but my biggest thing is he doesn't seem to create anything. And to me, the number 10 role is all about creating chances for your two up front, or at least being able to spray the ball out wide for your wing backs to get up the pitch, which, to be honest, they don't actually get that far up the pitch.
Yeah, I just want to quickly comment on Tony's comment there. I don't recollect you lads complaining of any bit of the signings. I think we did actually cover that earlier on in the show, where we weren't actually that bothered about the signings. Actually, to begin with, we were quite pleased with them. But yeah, okay, Tone. So, boys, we will just quickly touch on the actual game itself. And there was, for me, Jimmy J. Morgan's chance in the first half. Then Glenn Morris made 2 good saves. That was pretty much it in the first half. And the second half, we controlled the ball, but didn't really do anything, did we, Warren? Until Max Clark's goal. So, yeah, what's your overview on the game, mate?
It was boring. The actual game was actually pretty dead boring. Until we scored. I thought neither side deserved to win the game, and neither side looked like winning the game. I thought it was just 2 teams going through the motions at the end of the season. That's what it seemed like to me. I'm surprised we had 10 shots. But at the end of the day, you only need 1 shot on target to score a goal, and Max Clark scored a fantastic goal at the end. I don't think we played badly. I just don't think we played well. It was just Mr. Average. And to be honest, if we want to have aspirations of going up, we've got to play better than that next season.
Yeah. James, what was your overview on the game, mate? We'll move on shortly because we spent a lot of time tonight talking about recruitment, which I absolutely love talking about, apparently.
Same as Warren. Really, it was a boring game, wasn't it? There were probably 3 moments of quality from the Gills in the whole game. There was the Jimmy J. Morgan chance that he made for himself. I thought he did really well. There was the Morris. I think you're doing him a disservice, Kris. I think one was a good save, one was a magnificent save. That second save was absolutely tremendous. Yeah. And the Max Clark goal was a really clever bit of thinking from Armani Little and a great finish from Max. So, yeah, just 3 moments from us. Accrington, very workmanlike, weren't they? Scored a goal which we should be really disappointed to concede. Really poor defending on our part. And it was a draw was absolutely a fair result. I think no question about that. But yeah, it's not one for the history books.
Yeah, and Phil, your thoughts on the game, because we don't have Phil's thoughts this evening. We did have Phil's thoughts, but last minute David decided that he was injured again this week after being back 1 week. So we call him Josh Andrews. So Phil, what are your thoughts on the game, mate?
Well, I've got to say, in the video that I recorded at Accrington Station after the game, it could have gone either way. Had we not scored at the end, I would have been very disappointed. I would have felt that we'd wasted our money travelling all that way, seeing Gillingham lose in what was a very pedestrian game. Sunday League can be a bit more exciting than what we saw on Saturday. Mm-hmm. But as it turns out, that goal, Max Clark strike, electrified the Gills fans. And I've got to praise Accrington stewards for letting us stand in the terraces behind the goal. That was terrific. But there wasn't anything to watch on the pitch. And it's been the story of the season, We're not taking shots. We're not making shots. We're not creating chances. And we're too slow and ponderous. And one of the things that really bugs me, is we're very happy to pass the ball around the middle. We're very happy to let the opposition get back in formation and set up a 10-man defence. And we can't get through that. So, we've got to get faster, we've got to get slicker, we've got to get quicker. Occasionally, you see little glimpses of that. And certainly, Max Clark's goal, that came out of the Gillingham team deciding to try something different rather than spending the past 90 minutes doing the same thing and getting the same result. And that has been every blimmin' week of this season. So, try something different, keep mixing it up and see what happens.
But then, I like the back five. I appreciate the back five, the way that he's got it working. But it then loses a man higher up the pitch. Like when you're not actually scoring goals, it kind of it leaves a sour taste in my mouth, really, because you're not getting any kind of advance with past the final third. Because if you were to play, I don't know, back four and then wingers and then two up front or one up front or whatever, you're at least getting something there that could have a modicum of success. But when you're trying to play it so narrow, when Max Clark, fair play to him, he does try and get forward, but Romeo Hutton on the other side, he's a little bit lapsidaisical and doesn't necessarily do as much. Do you think, Warren, that we need to kind of maybe drop the back five and maybe go to a back four so we can get wingers up? Because you're not scoring goals anyway, so playing a back five is counterproductive.
Sorry, I've lost you, Kris.
Oh, okay.
Just repeat that last bit. You got stuck.
Oh God. So playing the back five when we're not scoring goals, do you think that it's counterproductive?
I think it was a needs must playing the five. In the position we was in, we was looking like we could possibly have got relegated. But I think playing the back five has got a couple of results, and that's probably a pipe dream away to get relegated. I think next season, I mean, I've always liked a 4-4-2 personally. I think next season, when we get to recruitment and we get to doing what we need to get a promotion winning side, you've got to play a 4. So, alluding to what James said earlier, you need 2 or 3 players with real pace. You need an absolute terrier in midfield who's going to go around kicking people. You need a great big centre half, right? A bit like the Rawson for Accrington, who would kick anything that moved.
Yeah.
Right. And then he'd kick him again. And a goalkeeper that does things better than what we got. Now, when it comes to man of the match, you'll say, why is he saying that? But I can't see why a 41-year-old keeper should be getting man of the match. I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe just GG Buffon, mate. He's the cat at the end of the day. He can just goes on and on and on. Like, it doesn't matter what age. Age doesn't matter, mate, because if age mattered, then you I'm not going to say that.
Go on, say it.
Anyway.
Go back.
So we will move on to our man of the matches. And I've gone for Glenn Morris. Warren's gone for Glenn Morris. James has gone for Glenn Morris. And Phil's gone for Max Clark. So we will start with Warren. No, we'll start with James on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to pick a man of the match, to be honest with you, wasn't it? I thought Clark did well for his goal. I thought Bode showed flashes, but equally, I find him the most frustrating player in our squad. Morris, for me, got it just purely on the strength of the fact that he was pretty solid all afternoon, and he made 2 saves, which basically give us the point. Because if we concede at that stage, I don't think we're coming back into the game, to be honest with you. I put the point down to the point gain down to him. So yeah, he gets it for me.
Phil, we will go with you and Max Clark. I know it was a difficult one for me between Glenn and Max, but as James has just alluded to, Glenn just tipped it. So why Max?
Well, I think what I will say is I am dreading this 8-second rule coming in next season.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And this is one of my criticisms of Glenn. It's probably the only criticism that I can have of Glenn, because he's just been brilliant for us between the sticks. He's a fantastic ambassador. He's really behind her game too as well. Yeah, absolutely love him as a player. I'm really pleased that he is our keeper. Can't get over the fact that he's a little bit younger than me, but not much. And he's brilliant. But at the end of the day, Max Clark was the one who gave us that point. He used his initiative and he actually fired us. And you could tell how much it meant to him as well when he celebrated with the fans. And I tell you, that was a really special moment out of a really dour and dull game of football, just to see fans and players celebrate together like that. That's going to stay with me for a long time.
Yep. Warren.
Yeah, I think the second save that Glenn made was outstanding, and I think it just kept us in the game. And to be honest, it was, apart from Little's quick ball from the free kick to Max Clark for the goal, and Max Amar's push in the box, which sent the guy tumbling a little bit. I just thought it was the only bit of excellence or brilliance or whatever you want to call it throughout the whole game, and he deserved it just for producing that one moment.
I think for me it was literally just that first shot, and it come back out. Player volleyed it in, and he just clawed away to his right hand side, and it was an amazing save. So we're near it now already. So do we just quickly touch on the squad or do we save it for another day?
No, let's go for it.
Right, okay. So I'll go round robin. So I'll go Warren, Phil, James. Right, I'll say the player's name. You tell me if you're keeping or releasing. The reason is it
regardless of whether they're under contract or not, or
yes, yeah, okay. because I thought it was 14 players. I've then been told it's 11, so I can't surmise who. And there's also players there that we as fans don't necessarily want to keep, even if they are under contract. So, Warren, I'll go for you, Glenn Morris.
Bin.
Bin. All right. Okay. Yeah, we just keep going. I don't have to keep telling you. Like, Phil, your turn.
Keep.
Keep as a number 2.
Jake Turner.
Bin.
Release.
Release.
Tate Holton.
Keep as third keeper.
Keep.
Release.
And so we go to Romeo Hutton.
Keep.
Release.
Keep. But I could say release tomorrow.
Max Clark.
Keep.
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 Conor Masterson.
Hardest one for me, but I'd keep.
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 Max Amer.
Bin.
Release.
Release.
Andy Smith. I know he's on loan, but if we could keep him.
Yeah, keep.
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 Shad.
Release.
Keep.
Keep.
Sam
Just.
Gale.
Keep.
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 I don't think we'll go with Alex Gale. I don't think he's had enough game time for any of us to have an opinion, to be fair. Ethan Coleman.
Release.
Release.
I'd release, but no, we got no choice. So he's under contract for God knows how long. So
Yeah, till 2026. Yeah. Oh, my favourite player, Jack Nolan.
Release.
Release.
Yeah, you got to say release, ain't you?
Amani Little.
Keep.
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 Johnny Williams.
Release.
Keep.
Ooh,
Salty.
call me out there, Phil. I'm going to say release.
Go on, Jeff.
Yeah, release for me, Johnny Williams.
Right. Okay. So, Aaron Rowe.
Release.
Release.
Release, but I really want to see more of him.
Yeah, same.
Mm.
Robbie McKenzie, I think it's a resounding keep, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Throw that contract at him. Nelson Kambeni, I don't think he's had enough time, so we've got to keep him, surely.
I'd keep him. He showed signs on Saturday of being a good player.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. Bradley Dack.
Release.
Release.
Yeah, release. Hasn't worked.
Jaden Clark.
Release.
Keep.
Keep.
Stan Skipper, we can't really talk about because we've not seen enough of him. Ewan Williams.
Release.
Keep.
I'm keep as well because when he's played, I think he's done all right. We haven't seen enough of him again.
There's a reason why we don't see enough of him. He's crap.
Or you convinced me, Warren. Release.
I think he's been injured though. To be fair to him, I personally would keep Ewan, but
yeah, but you're keeping all these players, and we're saying we should get rid of them and start again.
Right.
What do we want?
Right.
Keep.
So Dom Cornett, again, another lone player.
Release.
Right.
Release.
All right.
Yeah. Expelliarmus.
Oh, this is going to be a hard one because I love Josh Andrews when he's fit. Josh Andrews, Warren.
Medically retire.
Yeah.
Right.
Release.
Release. I want to like him, but yeah, release.
Ollie Hawkins.
Release.
Release.
Keep as a squad striker. Squad player striker.
Right, Marcus Wiley.
Keep.
Keep.
Yeah, keep. There's something there.
Don't know about that. JJ Morgan, obviously, again on loan.
I'm going to say release because we'd never keep him.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been able to.
A shame because I'd like to see him stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Where's Wally? Jacob
release.
Wakeman.
Yeah, release.
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 Elliot Nevitt.
Keep.
Release.
Ooh.
Saucy.
Keep, but only if he starts scoring bloody goals.
Second season, boy. Second season, he'll score goals.
Let's hope so.
Because
Right.
we know how he plays then.
Joe Bode.
Keep.
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 Right. Okay. So, and Josh Bayliss, to be fair, again, he's a youngster. We can't really comment on that. We've not seen him play in the first team, but I've just gone from the first team thing graphic on the club site. So, Warren, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You keep 11 of those. Bill would keep 5, 6,
all of
7,
them.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of those. And James will keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 of them again. So, considering the amount of players that are on the screen, lads, I think that's quite a bit. That's a telling indictment, really, of where we are at the moment. That you'd only keep 12 of the 30 odd, whatever there are there.
Exactly. And that is a bit of an indictment of that squad.
Yes. But we do still have 10 games to go, so there is time for those keeps to be remains, I guess. So we quickly touch on the game that wasn't supposed to go ahead, but it now is. This coming Saturday, Gillingham at home to Walsall, and we've lost one, drawn, and they've drawn, lost, drawn. I'm hoping that trend continues on Saturday, so I will go with you, Phil, first, and your thoughts and aspirations for Saturday afternoon.
I'm actually worried. I know people are going, 6 international call-ups. It's going to be easy. It's not. Walsall have got something to prove. They want to stay in the automatic places. They are going to give us a hell of a game, and we need to make sure that we raise ourselves up to be the absolute best and hopefully crash them 3-0.
There we go. So, James, yourself and your thoughts and aspirations for Saturday.
Yeah, agree with Phil. I don't think it's going to be easy by any stretch, but I do think we'll be bang up for it. I think very much in the same way as Bradford, we love to spoil a party, don't we? And I do think we can take them. I really do. I think I've got a good feeling about this one.
There we go, and Warren.
Mr. Doom and Gloom, 2-0 defeat.
2-0 defeat. Oh. See, I'm hoping for a good result because I'm in hospitality Saturday, if I've not already mentioned it before. Been invited up there, so I'll be there in my shirt, jeans and shoes with a nice overcoat on rather than football.
Don't forget your handbag.
Oh, yeah, no, yes, fine, mate. I'm borrowing the wife.
And you're
I'm borrowing the wife. I'm borrowing the wife's Louis Vuitton one. She's already said I can borrow that one. So we are coming towards the end of the show, boys. And if you didn't know, we are in partnership with the Gillingham FC Supporters Club. So if you would like to sign up today, it's gfcsc.co.uk. We are also sponsored by Snodhurst Used Car Sales and Service Station. If you would like to get your car fixed, basically, or buy a new car, then go to them guys there. I didn't load up. Hang on a minute. I might be able to do it quickly now whilst we're on the screen. Probably not because I've massively overcooked this. But yeah, if you would like to follow us, then join us at X at The View from the Medway Fancast at TVFTM, YouTube, the View from the Medway Fancast, and on Facebook at The View from the Medway. I've been Chris. He's been Warren. He's been Phil. He's been James. Good night, and up the Jills.
Up the Jills.